It's said Oklahoma City has the best and toughest street car races in the whole country, and viewers of Street Outlaws know this very well. Season after season, the show's audience has been enthralled by the drivers' incredible car modifications and their struggles to enter the legendary The List. However, knowing how dangerous the life of a street racer can be, it's expected that many people wonder what the drivers are up to nowadays. Are they still racing, or have they taken different paths in life? What happened to their cars, and who of them may have had an unfortunate fate? Keep watching to discover what happened to the cast of Street Outlaws. But before that, do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, make sure to watch the whole video, like, comment a hidden keyword, and subscribe for your chance to enter. It's that easy. Where is Street Outlaws cast now? The most notable cast member of Street Outlaws is indisputably Justin Shearer, better known by his racing name Big Chief. It's really not a wonder why Justin loves cars and races so much. Started at only 9 years of age, he watched the night races at the then very close Route 66 in his native Louisville, Kentucky. A few years later, his family moved to Oklahoma, and his hobby developed into a life passion which he would continue into adulthood. Regardless of his success, Justin has been through some difficult times in recent years. In 2015, he injured his spinal cord and bruised his lungs after a serious car crash. Fortunately, he recovered well, even if his 1960 Pontiac Le Mans was seriously damaged and left unusable. In 2017, Justin faced several accusations of infidelity after surprisingly announcing he was divorcing his longtime wife Alicia, with whom he has 2 children. Not long afterwards, it was rumored that he had a drug addiction, although he utterly denied those claims. Fortunately for Big Chief, the negative experiences he has been through have not been enough to deter him. Nowadays, Street Outlaws is still airing, and life seems to be good for him. His real name is Dave Comstock, but everyone knows him better as Daddy Dave. This guy, born in Shawnee, Oklahoma, has been racing on the Oklahoma streets here for over 3 decades now, and is still going strong. While the origin of Dave's nickname is still unknown, his title as the King of the Streets is undisputed. Long before appearing in Street Outlaws, in 2009, Dave's racing skill gained him at his 1996 truck GMC Sonoma S10 a spot in the speed TV show Pinks. Besides his impressive career as a driver, Dave is a family guy as well. He has 2 daughters with his wife Cassie, who regardless of how dangerous his profession is, has been supportive of him and the show. Nowadays, Daddy Dave can be seen in Street Outlaws, proudly showing off the Goliath 2.0, his newly modified 1963 Chevy Nova. Although Murder Nova's real name is Shaun Ellington, years ago he was also known as the King of the Streets. He was born in California, but moving to Oklahoma very early in life, and being the son of an auto repair technician, undoubtedly awakened his interest in cars and racing from an early age. These days, Shaun not only owns his own auto repair shop, 187 Customs, but he also likes to share his passion for cars with his son Aiden, something of which his wife Erin is apparently in support. Shaun is also still active in the street racing world and has been seen showing off his newly modified Murder Nova in the Street Outlaws spin-off show, No Preps King. However, he's no longer racing alongside Big Chief as they parted ways professionally, even if they assure their friendship remains in place. Many people know him for his cool-like personality and hard-working attitude. Dominator is admittedly one of the most well-liked guys in Street Outlaws, and also very successful at racing. Not much is known about Dominator's personal life, except that his real name is Joe Woods and he's married. The origin of his love of cars is well known though, as it started as a teenager when he bought a 1956 Chevy Bel Air. This car was followed by other acquisitions, some of which he still owns to this day, as he admittedly doesn't really like selling his cars and still regrets letting go some of the few he doesn't have anymore. Dominator inherited not only his father's talent as a mechanic, but also his hard-working ethic, so it isn't surprising to find out that Dominator has rebuilt and fixed the majority of his impressive collection of over 20 cars. These days, he prefers to race with a 1967 Dodge Dart in Street Outlaws. Jerry Johnston, better known as Monza, or as the most likely next King of the Streets title holder, has been racing since the 1980s, so Jerry's experience is notably vaster than most of his fellow competitors. Now, with over 3 decades on the road, Jerry surely knows what works on the Oklahoma City racing circuits. Maybe it's for this reason that in recent years he changed the precious Chevy Monza, which gained him his racing nickname, for the 1972 Camaro Rally Sport he drives now. Monza's love for cars is not rare in his family though, as every Johnston apparently contributes to the success of Team Monza. Despite the fact that his back problems led him to undergo surgery in 2019 and missed the No Prep Kings event that year, Monza apparently isn't yet planning his retirement from the racing circuit just yet, nor from the show. Chuck Seitzinger is one of the most notable drivers in Street Outlaws. His experience goes far beyond the streets and includes 2 professional racing titles, the first awarded by the Drag Racing Association as the Rookie of the Year in his professional debut, and then in 2004 for winning the Nitrous Express P4 Xbox Championship. His career extends to over 2 decades of experience, which makes him one of the veteran drivers of the show. Off the racing circuit, Chuck also has found success as the owner of the auto repair shop Advanced Motorsports in Oklahoma City. He's also a happily married man and the father of 2 girls. More recently, Chuck's health took a bad turn when in May 2020 he was diagnosed with COVID-19 along with pneumonia and bronchitis. This resulted in him losing almost 30 pounds during his weeks-long stay in the hospital, though the harsh situation wasn't enough to deter him. Chuck has recovered well and expressed his thankfulness not only to the doctors who saved his life, but to his family, friends, and everyone who sent him messages of support. Chuck still appears in Street Outlaws, driving his shiny and powerful 1989 Ford Mustang. Farm Truck is undeniably a fan favorite in Street Outlaws. As with his fellow cast members, Shaun Whiteley started racing very early in life, though his more than obvious love for trucks is what sets him apart from the rest of them. Shaun started driving his father's 1956 Ford pickup and his mother's 1974 Dodge Dart in his early teens. While he couldn't race at the time, he lived close enough to Route 66 to know very well how the local racing scene worked. Shaun apparently spent several years finding the perfect car for himself until he saw an Auto Trader magazine ad offering a fast truck for sale, which is how he ended up buying the Chevy long bed truck he still owns and his most favorite car to date. While Farm Truck still loves his 1970s Chevy dearly, he recently bought a 1958 Cadillac for racing. In addition to that, in July 2020, AZN and he premiered their own show, Street Outlaws, Farm Truck and AZN, a series recorded entirely by themselves, which centers on the pair's efforts to keep working on their car projects during the COVID-19 pandemic. Jeff Bonnet is better known by his nickname AZN and for being one of the youngest cast members of Street Outlaws. However, his experience as a driver is enviable despite his age, and his racing skills are not to be underestimated. Jeff's first car was a 1996 Chevy Nova, which he sold years ago, but luckily recovered it in 2018. However, his favorite cars for racing are either a Volkswagen Bug from 1966 he recently bought and named Dung Beetle, or his loyal pal, the 1970 Chevy. Regarding his personal life, there's not a lot to say about Jeff. It's known that he's of Taiwanese descent on his mother's side, and that his father taught him how to drive, and even paid for his first car. But there's not a lot to say about his romantic life or relationships. Even when it comes to social media, AZN prefers to maintain a secrecy. Besides premiering his show alongside Farm Truck, the racing pair are still recurring members of Street Outlaws. It's unknown why Chris Day chose Kamikaze as his racing nickname, except that his passion for speed is undeniable and therefore dangerous. Actually, even before he got into cars, he was already a skilled motocross biker. Chris's love for car competitions became his full-time occupation after obtaining his license in his teens. In part, he was influenced to follow this path by his father, who was a driver of cars and boats, though his childhood friend Big Chief very probably played a role in it as well. The first car Chris ever raced in was a Chevy, though he later changed it in favor of a 1981 Chevrolet El Camino named Elko, which is not only as powerful as a car can be, but also has a sentimental meaning for him as well. It originally belonged to his late friend Tyler Flip Pretty. Unfortunately, the Elko is now going through some difficult times after its owner crashed it in late 2020. Luckily for Kamikaze, he escaped the accident unscathed, but it's unknown when the Elko will be back on the road. James Love is better known on the Oklahoma City streets by the nickname Doc, or as the Street Beast, the name of his 1970 Chevy Monte Carlo. James is pretty successful at racing, even once winning the title as the King of the Streets after defeating his rivals Shaun Murder Nova and Justin Big Chief. while he couldn't maintain himself at the top for a long time, he's still thriving and trying to recover his lost title as the best of the list. Things haven't been easy for James Love recently though. In mid-2020, he was in a car crash in Nebraska, and while Doc wasn't seriously injured, the street beast was almost completely destroyed. This led James to take matters into his own hands and sell his equipment in order to afford building a new car and being able to enter the No Prep Kings event in 2021. Who has died of Street Outlaws? Unfortunately, at least 2 cast members of Street Outlaws have died. The first was Tyler Pretty, also known as Flip. He was renowned for his great car building skills and for his friendship with Big Chief and Kamikaze. Flip is remembered for appearing in the first season of Street Outlaws, though unfortunately, he had no chance of seeing himself on TV as he died before the show's premiere. The cause of his death at 31 years old is still unknown, though it's rumored that it was a suicide and not a car accident as was first speculated. He was the father of 4 sons. In September 2020, Christopher Ellis sadly died at the age of 39. He was also known as Kentucky and one of the most skilled mechanics at Justin Shearer's and Shaun Ellington's business, Midwest Streetcars Automotive. The cause of his death was an apparent heroin overdose, though his body wasn't discovered until a few days after his death. Both Discovery and Street Outlaws cast sent condolences to Pretty's and Ellis' families after their respective deaths. Despite the sad news about some of its cast members, Street Outlaws and its various spin-offs are on top of Discovery's show schedule. Hopefully, it's going to be like this for a long time, and every driver will continue to enjoy their life's passion to its fullest, with danger apparently being a big part of it.
Over it. Taking my pretty-ass car and my pretty-ass girl home.
Taking my beat-up junk house. I ain't seen my wife in 5 days, so I'm loading up and rolling home.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.